Yeah. Fellow seats here.
Got one good?
Chairs here in the front. It's like
Roll.
church, everybody takes a ride and eats first.
Yeah.
That's Ross and you. Oh, except you.
Yeah.
Oh, good morning.
Morning.
I'm the late Nick Southwick. I'll tell you, if you're interested, I'll tell you more a little later. I'm the Town of Champlain Republican Party Secretary and organizer of this fall campaign kickoff. I'm glad to see a good number of people here. Mark Dame, Area 8 Legislator, Jeff Menard, Town Supervisor of Mooers.
Francis.
Where are you, Francis? Oh, there you are. Francis Perrier, Area 2, Ben Watson from Press Republican, and I want to thank Celine Paquette for letting us use this wonderful history center for this event, because I think it's actually not only a beautiful building, it's perfect, and it represents what we as Republicans are trying to achieve when any of us run for office. There's the words of Edmund Burke, statesman, that society is a contract. It's a partnership between those who are living, those who are dead, those who are to be born. And when we're in this building, we see the photos and exhibits on the wall, when we see the stories from Hometown Cable or John Zerlo decides to start engaging in a conversation. When we hear those stories, that tells us of what our past was, how bright it was, and what we can be in the future. It's a place where Champlain is a place where both business and families can grow and thrive. And from our candidates, because you're not going to hear from me for much longer, you're going to hear how we can move Champlain, Mooers, and Clinton County towards a bright future. We're not just kicking off a political election campaign. We're continuing the process of remembering our past, and we're keeping Champlain's future, Champlain shining bright. And yes, I am going to try to hashtag that last part. So, you didn't come here to hear me speak. Our first speaker is Mr. Champlain himself, our county clerk, John Zerlo. John?
Thank you, Nick. I think I'll start off by saying that Nick not only is the secretary of the Champlain Town Committee, but he's going to be the chairman starting tomorrow night. And I think Nick omitted our good friend Jack Dragoon, who has been political in Mooers and the town of Mooers and county for many, many years, and has taken a back seat in the last couple of years because of his business and personal situations. But glad to have you here too, Jack. And Celine, again, thanks for using your room. Nick mentioned something about Champlain in the past. This is Champlain in the past, right in this building. If you ever got a chance to go through the museum, I did twice, but I should come back a few more times because I know she's adding things all the time. But this shows what Champlain was many, many years ago. But getting to the political end of it, I am honored to be able to run or be asked to run for the 7th term. In the 6 terms that I've been at Plattsburgh as your county clerk, we've gone quite high tech. We now record everything electronically. We e-file, we e-record, we have e-search, which allows you to use our records 24/7. If you want a copy of your deed at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, just get online, pay a small fee, and you can copy your deed or mortgage or whatever. Thanks to we have 2 legislators here, and thanks to them for providing the funds to get us started. With e-search, which we started a couple of years ago, it cost us about $50,000 to get that in gear. But this year, I'm proud to say that our revenues from e-search will pay that and plus more. So, and that's every year now. So that was a hell of a nice investment that the county legislators made, allowing us to e-search. Before I say a little bit more about other people here, I'd like to also say that in 24 years, talking about old times and what it was years ago, when I arrived at the county clerk's office 24 years ago, we did everything by hand. We didn't have one computer in the office. Today we are very high-tech as any county in New York State. And as I said, we e-search, e-file, and e-record. E-recording is recording with technology. Anybody from anybody in the country, they can file electronically. E-recording. E-filing is now the attorneys can file their court documents electronically. They don't have to come into our office. We have a mobile passport service. We have an up-to-date pistol permit system, again, high-tech. But getting back to what I was originally going to tell you here, 24 years ago, we did everything by hand. And when someone came in to record a deed, it was 6 weeks before we got that original deed back to the owner, because we had to microfilm it, we had to send a microfilm away to be developed. We had to get the sheets back after they printed them up. We had to compare that with the original deed, put them in a binder, put them back on the shelves, and it was 6 weeks. Today we can do that same process the same day. Same day. You record a deed, you can have your original deed back the same day. It's unbelievable. And again, thanks to the county legislature for providing the funds to get us going in that, but it's paid for itself time and time again. Since I've been the county clerk, we've increased the revenue from $800,000 to over $2 million with a couple of innovations. Motor vehicle use tax, which make up $500,000 a year. That was my innovation. And the mobile passport service helped. We do a lot of passport business. We will go around to different organizations if they can show at least 10 people that require a passport. And the DMV is modernized. We have high tech there too, doing much better in DMV. Our business is right out the door. It's unbelievable. A lot of people are doing their DMV work online today. And that was going to cut into our business, but it hasn't at all. We see more people in our DMV lobby than ever before, even with people recording online. You heard about the license plate deal. Well, that's down the tubes. The governor took that back. The county clerks throughout the state signed petitions. We had petitions. I have hundreds of them signed in my office, probably 1,000. Everybody that comes in signed it, and we see 300 and 400 people a day. That's it, the county clerk's office. I'm honored to be their candidate again. Thankfully, I have no opponent again this year, and so I can spend more time with other candidates. I've been spending a lot of time with Chad, who I'll introduce at this point. Chad Dean's a young man who is going to run for coroner. Chad has a lot of experience, 20 years plus in the funeral business. Has done a lot of death pickups, where his opponent, I like to say, the only dead person he ever saw is if he went to a wake. He has no experience at all. And before I allow Chad to come up, let me say a quick word about our other candidates. You know, Champlain, the town of Champlain should be very, very proud this year to have 3 county candidates for our own little town here of what, 6,000 people. So we have Calvin running for legislator in Area 1. Harry McManus, who has been our legislator the last 12 years, is termed out. Harry has done an outstanding job, he's our chairman right now, but he's termed out, and Calvin will seek that position. Calvin knows the pulse of the area, doing his cable business for 40 years, or roughly 40 years. So he knows what's going on. He'd be a good representative for our town. And also John Cooper, who is running for town board, much experience, had town board experience, been there before, knows what it's like, has been very active in the community, and now serves as the code enforcement officer for the village of Rouse's Point. So I think that our line is very strong. I think we should do very well this year. We're offering fine candidates. So at this time, Chad, I'd like you to come up and and tell us about your goals and what you plan to do as our next coroner.
Good morning. So I want to thank everyone for coming today. So Lynn, thank you for the venue here. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Chad Deans. I am 42 years old. I reside here in the village of Champlain with my wife Heather, who is a teacher of foreign language, French and Spanish at Northern Adirondack Central School in Ellenburg. We have 2 children, Catherine, who is in 9th grade at Northeastern Clinton Central School, and Aaron, who is in 7th grade here at NCCS. Immediately upon my graduation from high school, I went to the State University of New York at Canton, pursued a degree in mortuary science. I graduated in 1997 with that degree and proceeded to what was then known as William J. Burke & Sons Funeral Home in Saratoga Springs. It's now Burke, Busting & Cunniff Funeral Home. They acquired another local business there, and I did my year residency or apprenticeship there in funeral directing with those folks, which was a wonderful experience. We were very busy there. I was very grateful to get that opportunity. I have worked in funeral homes in funeral home in Watertown, New York, Malone, here locally, Champlain, Rouse's Point. Now I work as, I would say, an independent contractor. I work for area funeral homes providing professional services to them as they need me. I also worked as an autopsy assistant for a short period of time here locally at the hospital, CVPH. I've had much experience with, responding to death scenes on behalf of the county coroner. This county currently utilizes the services of local funeral homes to remove decedents from their place of death to the hospital. So I've been involved in that in this county and some of the other counties I've worked in. Probably hundreds of those. I've been from many different things, motor vehicle fatalities, unattended deaths in private residences, all kinds of different things. 20 years in the funeral business has given me a lot of experience. Probably I would say the key thing, one of the key things I bring to the table is I am a funeral director is a professional in obtaining delicate information from people under very difficult circumstances. Some other involvement here, involved in local church, Salvation Army bell ringing. I belong to the Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons in West Shazy. Family life, a 14-year-old and 12-year-old. There's a lot of time spent on the soccer fields. Calvin is there a lot, taping and so on. Sees a lot of those events. I'm learning that the kids don't keep, so I'm glad I've had the time here to go up and spend some time at those things as well. I want to thank you for coming, and I am also asking for your help. I would ask that you, for those supporters, to continue to spread the word amongst your friends and neighbors. We're in the final push. I think we've worked hard. John has been very grateful. I've had John Zerlo, our county clerk, working hand in hand with me. This probably wouldn't have got off the ground without him. So I'm very grateful for his support and the support of many other people. We've campaigned hard. We announced on January 30th in Plattsburgh, and we really started about in February, didn't we, John? Campaigning and working forward till now. I do have some previous government experience that I failed to mention to you. I worked full-time for the federal government for a period of probably 7 plus 8 years as a supervisor, the latter few years, for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and I also worked in state government for a period of time for New York State Ag and Market. So I bring some, and I no longer work for either of those entities. I resigned from my federal position on January 28th of this year and announced on January 30th. So I wanted to re-enter small business again, and there were some opportunities that opened, including this run for county coroner. So I think that shows I'm very serious about this. I gave up a very comfortable career to pursue this avenue, and we're working very hard at it, and we're planning on being successful. So I would ask you for your continued support, and we will be out on the campaign trail. You'll see me with signs as early as, I'm hoping, this afternoon and tomorrow. So we'll be reaching out to some people to get those up around the county. Thank you very much for your time.
According to our agenda, and we are actually on time.
Oh.
Our next speaker is the former Clinton County Area 1 legislator and our host, Celine Paquette.
Thank you, Nick. Happy to host all of you. One of the things I see lacking here, though, Nick, you're gonna have to work hard at it, that there are no women here.
Yeah, you're here.
We need more.
We tried. You don't know how hard we tried this year.
Okay, thank you. I'm honored to have been selected to say a few words about Calvin Castine. The problem is you just can't say just a few words about Calvin. Everyone knows Calvin, and everyone's familiar with Calvin's presence in the community. I'm sure everyone at one time or another has been in one of Calvin's video and waiting to be interviewed, or running away from him, not wanting to be interviewed. All kidding aside, a community that has Calvin is a fortunate community. He is ubiquitous. What does that mean? Well, it means Calvin is everywhere, and in any and every place that is having an event. Calvin has always been part of the fabric of our area. He was born here, lived on his family's dairy farm, graduated from St. Mary's Academy, married a local girl 43 years ago, and still lives in the family homestead. Now, how's that for being local? And where do I begin to tell you about all that Calvin has done in his years in the community? I saw his resume, it's 6 pages long. It's been impossible to tell you how much Calvin's work has impacted all of us. I'll describe a few. This year marks the 52nd annual bazaar at St. Mary's Parish. Calvin and his family have been involved in this endeavor, different capacities, every year. He's the founder of the local chapter, Woodmen of the World, in 1975, and he's been active in this chapter since the beginning. One of his biggest contributions has been the Bob Venn Park, and it's becoming a reality. And as a committee member, he worked very hard with the various entities to make sure this became a reality. It wasn't always easy. Along with this is his devotion to Dewey Tavern and the Dewey Family Cemetery. So you can count on Calvin to put up the British flag every September and then take it down and put the American flag back up. He's responsible for organizing what has become the annual Champlain Central St. Mary's Academy get-together. But if we were to ask anyone if they know Calvin Castine, can you imagine anyone not knowing Calvin Castine? I'm sure the answer would be Hometown Cable, which he's doing right now. He records about 500 events annually, often working 7 days a week. He has preserved over 20,000 pieces of local history, and he's helped to showcase our area. He's promoted area churches, fire departments, EMTs, veterans, local businesses, local history, and of course our schools and our students with graduations and sports event. This is public service of the highest order. He's received numerous honors. He's been on memory boards, often serving as an officer. He's producer of 4 books. He's received many honors. But I'm telling you all this because this is what I want to point out, why it makes him a great county legislator. He cares for his fellow community members, keeps the public informed. He's available to attend every event, no matter how small or what some would consider insignificant, but he's there. He gives of his time and energy without expecting a reward or remuneration. He sees value in what the community has to offer. He sees potential in a service or activity in places that others might not see. He's innovative, he's creative. He'll see what his community needs, and he represents it well because he's one of us. These are all the qualities that Calvin possesses and has exemplified and makes him extremely well qualified to be our next county legislator. As someone said, Calvin wears the heart of the North Country on his sleeve. I'm honored to recognize our next county legislator from Area 1. Welcome.
Anything I have to say is going to pale according to what she just said. Thank you, Celine, and thank you for this building here. It's just it's a great asset to the entire community. And thank you all for being here today. Unlike my predecessors, I brought notes here. So, the position of county legislator is not something that should be taken lightly or used as a learning experience. It is a position of great responsibility. In some way or another, we all rely on the services that the county provides, and the taxpayers justifiably demand that their tax dollars be wisely spent. In fact, that's one of the things I've heard the most in chatting with folks is make sure our taxes don't keep going up. Make sure that our taxes are looked at. The Clinton County Office for the Aging, the Highway Department, Real Property Office, the County Planning Department, the County Administrator, Personnel Department, Health Department, Sheriff's Office, Social Services, the Airport, Emergency Services, Motor Vehicle Department, Veterans Affairs, Youth Commission, Public Transportation, Landfill and Recycling, Child Advocacy, County Clerk's Office, District Attorney, Historian, Mental Health and Addiction, Nursing Home, Probation Department, and several other departments, including in a big way, Clinton Community College gets a portion of their budget from the county legislature. These folks are all part of what makes up the fabric of our county government and county community. Over the years, I've been able to go behind the scenes with most of them, those departments, through hometown cable interviews. So I'll be going in with a knowledge of the workings of Clinton County. The Clinton County Legislature was created in the mid-1960s. Prior to that time, the county was run by a board of town supervisors. Our first Area 1 legislator was Robert Breedenberg. And if you look around this Harris Sheridan information that Celine has on the wall, you'll see the Breedenberg name. It's been a long time associated with our communities. We've enjoyed a 50-year run with highly qualified people representing our area. I'm very proud that we have two of them in our presence today, Dr. Celine Paquette and our County Clerk, John Zerlo. As Celine said, my family roots are deep in the soil of Area 1. The first cast iron showed up on the Valley Road in the 1860s. The Ridge Road family homestead where Judy and I live has been in a cast iron family for 3 generations. In fact, that's why Judy's not here right now. We've got a 165-year-old house that needs repair, and she's there with the carpenter and not able to be here today. My father Carl was born in that house. My mother Carol was a Trudeau who was born and grew up in the Kings Bay area and went to a one-room school on the corner of Leggett Road and Route 9B. My father didn't walk very far to his first school. His one-room schoolhouse was adjacent to our property. My mother's parents settled here in the early 1900s after moving here from Napierville and raised a family of 17. My father's mother was a Tremblay from the Mooers Forks area. Her father worked for the railroad. My wife Judy is a former Anktil from Rouse's Point. Her father also worked for the railroad. Judy and I raised 4 kids. 3 of them live within the township of Champlain. The fourth one lives in the Beekmantown School District, but works up here at the border, so he's still associated with Champlain. Our family has experienced and witnessed the dissolution of family farms throughout the area, and personally experienced the closure of Northern Tier's 2 largest employers. Judy was there when Harris Graphics permanently closed their doors in 1987. And she was a Wyeth employee when they made their closure announcement over a decade ago. So we know all too well what our area has gone through and is going through regarding the jobs market, because we have suffered through it. If you are familiar with our Hometown Cable Network website, you will see close to a dozen videos that were shot between February and August of this year, chronicling the demolition of the former Wyeth facility. To say that it was devastating to our community would not be an overstatement. It has left a void that will never really be filled. It will be partially filled, but it'll never be filled to the part of 1,200 employees. We all know that Area 1 is in great need of finding employers to locate within our boundaries. We also need new construction of all sorts so that we can increase our overall assessed value and thereby increase our tax base. Our area is suffering greatly due to the loss of so many well-paying jobs, but we are also suffering due to the demolition of the Wyeth buildings. The assessment loss means that now every property owner has to pay a higher percentage of our various local tax burdens. That demolition also means that our area's share of the county's sales tax money has also decreased, because the amount we get is directly determined by our various communities' total property assessed values. In the past half-century, we've seen great changes to our downtowns, whether it be Mooers Forks, Champlain, Rouse's Point, or even Perry's Mills and Coopersville. They have all lost so many locally owned and operated businesses. I wouldn't even dare to attempt to enumerate them. When I started recording local events for Hometown Cable back in 1983, among the first few words uttered during the first introduction were the words highlighting what is best about our Clinton County Northern Tier. That has been our mission ever since, to showcase as many positive events and pieces of local history that we could. Personally, I was involved and active in the area long before I established Hometown Cable back in '83. Whether it was organizing local adult sports leagues, serving as vice chairman of the Champlain Narcotics Council, as games chairman for the St. Mary's Bazaar for 10 years, vice president of the Champlain Northern Tier Senior Housing when it was first established, and I'm proud to say it was the first one outside of the city of Plattsburgh that our county has seen, was that Northern Tier housing. Co-chairman of the Northern Tier Muscular Dystrophy Association Telethon, and organizing the Women of the World Chapter 462 back in '75. With Judy's encouragement, I've demonstrated my commitment to our community. Over the past 36 and a half years through Hometown Cable, I've been able to be there to witness and experience all that is best about the folks in and around Area 1. No one has been to more events, including board meetings, and recorded and shared those events with the community than I have. I am grateful for that experience and hope to use that knowledge of the Northern Tier that I have gained over the years to serve the people in a new role as the Area 1 legislator in the Clinton County Legislature. I look forward to working with people like Mark Dame and Francis Perrier, and also Mark Henry, just to our south. And yes, I will continue to record as many events as possible, including the twice monthly county board meetings that I will be attending. So I'm asking for everyone's support on Election Day. Your vote would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Originally on the agenda was Larry Barcon, but he's been called away with some business. He was the town supervisor of Champlain. Fortunately, we have the deputy supervisor of Champlain, Brian Moore, longtime town councilor. Oh, not Brian.
I'm here. As he said, Larry's up at the border looking at the new infrastructure they're putting in there, which is one of the few bright spots right now in the area. So he is called away. I've been asked to introduce John Cooper because I worked with John on the town board for many years, and I was very proud to work with him, because if you needed something done, you went and saw John, and he would do his best to do it. And in fact, he and I worked together frequently, and we made a good team. And we would like to see John Cooper back on the town board, because he's a hard worker. He's still active in both villages. He's active in the town. He's good for the town. He would be a good candidate. He's a good councilman. He's good at most everything we've had John work for us. And I'd like to see John back as a team member with the town board for the town of Champlain. And at this point, I would like to have John come up and discuss his credentials and add to what I've just said, but whatever happens, please vote for John. He's a good candidate.
You can anything but thanks to Lee for a beautiful room like this to hold our meeting in. Secondly, Brian, I want to thank you for the very nice words. And third, and most of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Zerlo and Mr. Larry Barcombe for asking me to represent the Republican Party as a candidate for the councilman for the village of for the town of Champlain. I really appreciate that. I'll add to that is I was born in Rouse's Point, lived in the town all my life. Wife, a couple of kids, of course my kids are grown up and gone, my wife's still here. In education, of course I graduated from high school, I went to the Navy for a few years, came back out. Civic organizations, I guess I belong to everything. I've got 50 years in the Legion, Fire Department veteran, EMT, everything that's available around here I've been involved in at one time in my life. I put a few years in on the council here at the Town of Champlain. I really enjoyed myself. We had a good team, Brian and myself and some of the other members did, I feel, an excellent job in everything we tried to do. And we were very successful, as a matter of fact. Therefore, to really sum it up, I guess this is short and as sweet as I can get, I would like to run back for the councilman. I appreciate the party's support, and I'm looking for some support to vote myself back in for the councilman for another term. Thank you.
Good job, John.
So, we've been hearing all about how wonderful and amazing Champlain is. I suppose as a bit of rebuttal, we have the incumbent town supervisor of Mooers, Jeff Menard, who is running for re-election. I'd like to invite him up to offer a few words about his time.
Thank you. Everything that's been said here today is about local people that are active in the community. And I think to have a good candidate, you need to be active in the community. And you look at Calvin, look at John, look at Chad, I mean, everybody's been active, they know what's going on. You can't support your community unless you know what's going on. And I think what we've seen here tonight, and we've heard today was, same with John, he's born and brought up here and lived here. So I think it's great that we have the candidates we have, and I wish everybody great luck. I think we're going to do really well this fall, and that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Good job.
I'm going to say something that my students love to hear. That's it. We do have Ben Watson?
Yes, that is.
Ben Watson for the Press Republican. You may, if you have some questions for the speakers, give me a round. If not, wonderful things to look at here.
Yes.
Thanks, Nick.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for getting us together. I know it's tough.
Good job.